Hey guys, Harrison here. And for the most part, macro photography is about getting close, really close to your subject, and there are two main ways that you can do this. So the first way is to use a dedicated macro lens on your camera, just like this one here, and lenses like this let you focus very, very close to your subject, allowing you to get, in this case, 1:1 magnification, but some macro lenses can go up to like 5:1 magnification, pretty much letting you fill the frame with even the tiniest of things. The other way is to use a set of macro or extension tubes, just like the ones I've got here, and what they can do is essentially turn just an ordinary lens that you've got into a macro lens. That's actually not entirely true, but I've got a whole video on extension tubes that you can watch just by pressing it up there, so if you're interested, check it out. But then what happens if you've got a macro lens and a set of extension tubes? And then what happens if you don't only have 1 or 2 extension tubes, but you've got 4 extension tubes? Let's find out. Alright, so here we go. I've switched over to my phone because I clearly need my camera to take the photos with. And so what I've done is I've just got my macro lens on. I've got the 4 extension tubes off, just so we can see what it's like with only a macro lens, and then we'll slowly work up one by one until we've got all 4 on, and we'll just have to see what it's like. And so our subject for today is my Raspberry Pi. We're going to be focusing on the logo. Right here, there's the Raspberry Pi logo. So we're going to see just how big we can get it pretty much. So you might also notice that over here, it's bright, it's way too overexposed. That's because I've got this in the sunlight, because especially when we're getting this close, trying to focus this close to an object, you need a ton of light. Preferably just a flash would do. I don't have any, so we're just gonna use the sunlight instead. Either way works fine. Just make sure you've got enough light because you're gonna need it. With that said though, let me get this set up and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, so just took our first photo, which is just with the macro lens focusing as close as it can to the subject, so focusing at 1:1, and already it's looking pretty big. Like we've gotten very close in already. And now it's just time to start adding extension tubes, I suppose, and see just how macro we can go. So that was our first photo with extension tubes on. As you can see, it's just getting even closer than before. So I've got another one here, and then I suppose we'll move on to the other two. Alright, there we go, that was halfway there. Again, it's just getting closer and closer. So let's get these other two on. You know, maybe we'll just stick them both on at once. I want to see what all 4 look like, and I want to see it now. So let's chuck them both on and see how it goes. Alright, so we've got all 4 on. This is what it looks like. It is a bit of a monstrosity, but hopefully it'll produce some pretty incredible photos. Before we do that, if you can look at this, every extension tube hasn't fit perfectly onto the last, and we're wobbling around quite a lot by the time we get to our macro lens, which is just something to notice. Probably not the best idea having 4 extension tubes on at once, but we're gonna do it anyway and just see what we can do. So let's get this back on the tripod and see what we can do. Alright, and that is what the Raspberry Pi logo looks like under some insane levels of macro. We had our macro lens plus 4 macro extension tubes slapped onto the back of it. That is 52mm worth of macro tubes on top of our macro lens. Just insane levels of macro. We can actually work out just how macro we can get, also known as the magnification, by taking a photo of a ruler. We can see from this photo that we're getting about 7.5mm of the ruler in frame, and so if we divide the width of the camera sensor by this measurement, we can get the magnification ratio. So if you do 19.3, which is the width of the micro four thirds sensor, divided by 7.5, you end up getting 2.57, meaning a 2.57 magnification ratio. And now here are just some other pictures of the different components on the Raspberry Pi at this crazy super macro size. So those were just some other photos of just the different components on the Raspberry Pi. And it's just almost silly, like, the depth of field that you get is just razor thin, like less than a millimeter, I swear, between in and out of focus. Just insane stuff. And even our magnification, we were filling the frame with about 2 LEDs. One capacitor was taking up the frame. Just crazy stuff. But we can go one step further. I've got a pin here, and let's just see how magnified we can get that. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this just as much as I did. And even if you don't go this crazy, I highly recommend that you give macro photography a shot. It's pretty easy to get into. It costs, $30 or $40 to grab a set of macro tubes, and then you can just start taking crazy macro photos just like we were doing, although maybe not quite as macro as we were getting today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe down below. And you can check out my macro photography over on my Instagram page. If you have any questions or some suggestions for some future videos, I'd love it if you could chuck those into the comments section. Apart from that though, thanks for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.